So the purpose of today's event is to walk you through some e-quality management system. As many of you know, selecting the right e-quality management system is basically something very important, and it's a crucial decision for any organizations, especially small organizations, and especially when it comes to regulated products. The goal of today's session is to provide a comprehensive view of different solutions and vendors that are available on the market, along with some alternative approaches that will come from different people that manage the quality management system without a quality management system. And for the people who are new to the meetup, the European SaMD Meetup is there to basically answer some of the complicated questions relating to compliance and provides hand-on experience or knowledge to our participants. As many of you know, basically navigating the regulatory requirements and choosing the right approach, it can be extremely complicated, and that's why Yauka, who is going to hand over the meetup to me, Ivo, and Leon. He created it, and now he's stepping down and gave us the leadership to manage this meetup. So another thing, you can find us basically on a meetup itself. You can find us on YouTube, and for a month or so, we have a LinkedIn appearance as a group, and it's called the European SaMD Meetup. So you can follow us, and as I mentioned, for the recording, probably it will be public on our YouTube channel in a few months. One thing about how can you help us, you will get a feedback sheet at the end of the meetup, so please give us some feedback. You can share also the events and videos on social media, and if there are other sponsors out here, you can also sponsor the meetup. And lastly, but not least, you can give a talk or help find speakers for us for the next meetups. The agenda for today, basically, we will give each vendor that we have with us today 10 minutes, and we will have 2 minutes of Q&A on each. So we will start with Formally, and then Matrix, Open Regulatory, and then Qualio. Then we will give the floor to 3 speakers that managed to do their quality management system without the use of an e-quality management system. They use different tools. They will walk you through them. Then we will give 15 minutes to user experiences, and at the end, we will have a panel discussion and extended Q&A. Housekeeping rules, please send your questions in the chat. We will basically read them. If we did not go through it in the 2-minute Q&A, we will definitely discuss it in the panel discussion and extended Q&A session. All right. So a little bit about the organizers. Ivo, maybe you can take a little bit now. You can introduce yourself, and you can read what is written about me there. Yeah.
Sure. So I've been in software development for about 15 years and spent the past 10 years or so at Zimmer Biomet. Last year, I started consulting together with Leon Doorn, and starting this year, I joined him at Medcare, who are also offering consulting services. And we are now helping host this meetup. Unfortunately, Leon cannot be here because of grave family circumstances, which is very unfortunate, but he sends his regards. And you, Lara?
Yeah, so about me, I'm Lara, Quality and Regulatory Manager at Hemato. I have a Bachelor in Pharmacy and MBA in Life Science. I've been in the SaMD sector for about 3 years, in regulatory and quality for around 5 years. And I joined basically the group because there's a lot of open topics and rule of interpretation when it comes to regulatory. And it's really nice to have some people who've done it before and hear basically what and how they did it. So that's about us. So now we give the floor Who was it did we have first? Formally, I guess.
Yep, I can go first.
So you can you share your screen?
Yes.
Perfect.
I might make everyone go to the matrix real quick. So excuse me if it's, yeah, there you go. 1 second. Cool. So can everyone see this?
Yes.
Right on. Cool. So my name is Spencer. I'm CEO of Formally. We are a software company that helps provide an electronic e-QMS. We also provide technical documentation, electronic technical documentation, to help you create everything that you need for MDR compliance under 2017 745, but also our QMS is compliant to ISO 13485. Right now we support products in Europe. We're about to finish our support module for FDA and for IVD, so those will be ready in the next couple months. If you're interested in doing that, we have some beta spots still open, so let me know if that's interesting for you. But you know, instead of slides, I actually just wanted to run through the product itself with you all and give you an experience of what it's like to actually create your product in our software. So this is where you will enter when you start using the software. We have a free trial on our website too, which will allow you to create a bunch of this stuff without having to pay anything. So once you sign up, it'll take you here. These are just kind of example devices that I have. We have the option to add a device. And so when you're adding a device, we have some like demo devices that are like pre-filled with information here that you can use if you want to. But we also have a setup for you to essentially define what your product is. And so you will essentially just fill out this questionnaire, and it'll help build your regulatory roadmap for you. And so you can see here, like if we're going to the EU, we're just providing our device's name. This is just like a general description, you know, like intended use, patient population, principles of operation. And what you're doing here is kind of setting a baseline for our AI to start helping you as an assistant. You'll kind of specify if there's hardware components, you know, is it implantable, not implantable, provide a description. Just because this takes a few minutes, you know, if you had a software app, you could add it in here too. Because this takes a few minutes, I'm just going to jump to like a preloaded one, but you would essentially click this button, hit create, and it would take you to your regulatory roadmap. So I have one loaded here for Migraine Assist, which is essentially like a hardware band that records vitals and tries to predict if you're going to have a migraine. And it uses a mobile app for that as well. And so you can see that this is our roadmap. This is essentially where most of our users live when they're using the software. We have a section for the QMS where you can set up all your SOPs and your processes in here. We have these preloaded for you as well. This is kind of what the basis of our system uses. It's also got training, you know, supplier qualification, things like that in here. I don't have a ton of time, so I want to show you all everything, but I'll jump to some of the more fun things, I think, first. But we have this all set up for the QMS as kind of like the first step that a lot of our clients use. And then this kind of middle section is more or less the technical documentation. I'm sure a lot of this feels familiar to you all. You know, you have your intended use, your classification, risk management, design. So we have like electrical firmware design, all that kind of stuff into V&V. And then we call this regulatory preparation submission, but really, you know, the final documents that you're putting together for your notified body or prior to registration. And then once you're on the market, we have essentially, you know, change management, CAPAs, vigilance setups for you here. Surveillance reports, complaint logs, all that kind of stuff. So the way it works is typically you start just kind of left to right, and you're just going to fill all this stuff out. If you jump into one of these, you'll see it takes you essentially to like an assistant. It'll ask you a question, what's your intended use, and it'll give you a recommendation. And so the suggestion is essentially based off of the data that you provided, plus some internal kind of like validation data that we give our AI to say, you know, say this, don't say that. The goal is that essentially you have a preloaded template for you to essentially, you know, work off of. So you can add to this, you can change it, you can delete stuff, but this gives you a really good idea of kind of what type of data goes into these types of documents, for example. So this is like the intended use. It gives you indications for use next. We could go on and on. But what I want to do actually is just kind of show you what like finalized documents look like. So I can show you a bit of like the doc control and things like that. So there's 9 questions here. If you were going to complete it, I'll show you what that looks like in another device. You can see that a lot of this is green. When you have saved and approved your documents, they show up as green. So this is what a live document looks like. You can see we have some archived revisions here. There's an approval panel here where it shows who approved it when, has a revision summary here. let's just create a new risk assessment real quick. So if we do a new revision of our risk assessment, you can see that this has 3 questions. It asks what's the software safety classification. If we wanted to add a risk to this, we could just add a row and add a new risk to our harms table. But also, like just for fun, if you want to create a whole new preliminary hazard analysis, this will generate a full risk table for you based on your patient population, intended use, everything that you provide us thus far, plus your user needs as well. It gives you risk acceptability, yes or no, based on a risk matrix, risk acceptability matrix that you made in your risk management plan. The goal being that this is all kind of stringed together, right? Your data kind of flows together. And if you do have, probabilities and severities that are acceptable or unacceptable, you're accounting for that. And so obviously with everything else, you can change it, edit it. If there are any unacceptable risks, it'll build in risk controls for you, which will be built into your V&V plans and things like that. So you have your new risk acceptability here. And then obviously you can delete these or change them if you want to. Once you generate a document, you can see this is the unapproved version. So this is just like a draft. You can essentially send it to approvers, whoever is on your team. You can put your revision summary here. We like to put this dependency warning in here. Essentially, risk management file kind of touches everything, but if you make a change, it tells you, okay, you might want to look at these other technical documentation documents for you, just to make sure that if you're changing a risk assessment, these might be dependencies to look into. And once you've essentially, you can put whatever revision is here. I can't spell apparently. Okay. You can click submit, and essentially that'll go off for approval to your approvers. So that's how you create a risk assessment. You can see this unchecked because this is a draft version. One last thing I want to show you is the clinical evaluation report, because if anyone's made these, you know how fun they are to create. So the clinical evaluation is fairly large, and the AI shines really well here. We can give you essentially recommendations on the clinical environment, state of the art. You can build your equivalency table here. We actually give you PICO terminology and search terms, so you can jump into Cochrane or PubMed and essentially download your scientific publications, upload them into the software, and it'll do essentially an appraisal for you on whether or not they're relevant to your device or state of the art. If they're relevant to performance or safety, it'll tell you the exclusion codes and everything in here. Obviously, you want to go back in and just kind of review this and make sure it makes sense for everything, but it's a great starting point for you to essentially filter through a lot of this information. And then once you get towards the later stages, it'll do summaries for performance and safety. It does the same thing for clinical trials, where you can upload from clinicaltrials.gov, and it actually puts in all of the trial summaries that get exported as a JSON file. And then towards the end, it'll give you evidence towards your clinical benefits, which you already probably know, but it's also helpful to kind of have all that information in there from the clinical evaluation summaries. And then your benefit risk ratio at the end, and click generate. So this essentially allows you to build a clinical evaluation with some quality and sort through a lot of data quickly. And then if there are any changes that you want to make, this is a large document, but you can always do raw edits on it if you'd like to. You can adjust it again if you want to go back and change things. There's a lot of control here. And so really you kind of think of this roadmap as kind of like your way of creating documentation and changing it and managing it. So when you get to the final, yes, I know, 2 minutes. That's so much to look at. Okay, so when you get to the final stages, you can also do your change requests. Obviously, like post-market surveillance reports, all that kind of stuff is in here. The last thing I'll show you real quick, we just are about to release this assistant, which we're kind of excited about, where if you ever want to talk to us, you can always chat with us on here. But if you wanted to make a product change, it essentially would ask you, what type of change do you want to make? Do I want to make a bug fix? Is it a minor adjustment, significant change, this kind of thing? This kind of sets up the AI to walk you through the process. And essentially, let's say I'm going to do a bug fix and I wanted to, change. There's an issue with the app connecting to our database, or someone couldn't put their birth date in correctly or something like that. It would essentially analyze the documents that exist, give you a list of documents that would be updated along with like the testing that you need to do to adjust it. And then it would essentially walk you through all the data that needs to be updated through our like bug fix process, which is really cool. So that way you're kind of accounting for every single part of the design control process when you're doing fixes, plus the processes that we built in for bug fixes. So this is obviously kind of long, so I don't want to spend all day on that, but that's the basic setup for this. So we've essentially helped lots of clients in the EU already. We have FDA approvals coming and doing conformity assessments now with a few clients. Our pricing is on our website if you want to look at it. Like I mentioned, the free trials there, you actually get access to all the SOPs for the QMS. If you want to jump in there and look around, my thought process is if you can look at those SOPs and build a full QMS out of it yourself, then more power to you. You deserve to. So that's all on there for you if you want to sign up and look at it. Our basic plan includes all the software, everything that you need to kind of create all your documentation and manage it. And then we have a premium service, which includes like 24/7 support and additional consulting if you need it. So that's it. I appreciate the time. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you, Spencer. We have maybe we have 2 minutes to answer one of the questions that were mentioned. So one is, has formally incorporated AI into the change request process?
Yeah, so it's really, the AI is supposed to help you figure out what the documentation is that you need to update and what changes you need to make. So there's a bit of kind of you thinking about, do I need to update my system requirements? Okay, I don't. Okay, do I need to go to my subsystem requirements and check those? So when we use AI, it's really to provide you guidance and suggestions. It's never putting anything into any documents or doing anything directly with your documentation. It's more along the lines of helping you understand the regulatory processes better, if that makes sense. And then if you don't want to use the AI assistant, all the document templates are there, so you can just kind of do it manually as well. So it's up to you.
All right. Another question, since we have another minute. Another one was, how is the data stored and processed by the AI model?
Yes, good question. So we have data processing agreements with all the LLMs we use, so none of the data is actually used by them for training data or anything like that. So it's stored temporarily and then released. We double encrypt all of our information. All of our servers are based in France, so they're all European and GDPR compliant.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. You are so much on time. Okay, for the rest of the questions, I think we can discuss them in the panel discussion. And now we can move to matrix requirements. I think, Francois, it's your time to shine, and you can share your screen.
Yes, thank you, Lara. So I do have a short presentation that I will share with you. Well, thank you everyone to be here tonight. I'm Francois Corbet. I'm a sales director at Matrix Requirements. I joined the company about 2 years ago. Before that, I've been an entrepreneur in digital health, MedTech, and IoT for almost 20 years. And I'm quite happy to be on the other side of the table now and helping my ex-fellow entrepreneurs to get ready for medical device certification, which I had to learn the hard way in my previous experiences. So Matrix Requirements is a SaaS platform for design control and quality management system, specifically for medical device manufacturers, and in particular, if they are software as a medical device or include software in their medical device. The company actually was founded by two software developers, SaMD developers, a few years back because they couldn't find a proper tool to document their code and to get the proper level of traceability that they were expecting to get that their product out on the market in a safer way and faster. And this is why the company was actually created then. That was in 2015. Today we have over 260 customers worldwide with 6,000 active users. We do about 45% of our business in North America, US and Canada, with a dedicated team there. Half in Europe and the rest in Asia, from Israel all the way to Australia. We are certified 13485 for the QMS 27001 as well for the IT security, and of course we're compliant with Part 11 for the electronic signature. We have half of the biggest 12 top medtech names and logos on the market as clients, but most of our clients are actually smaller companies, from startups to scale-ups. You might recognize some names here. And what was interesting, we did some surveys with our customers, and which is quite very interesting, is nine customers out of 10 declared that they were a lot more confident when they were talking to their auditors when using a tool like Matrix compared to their paper-based system that they initially had. And they gained an average 29-30%. They saved about 30% of their time. And when we look at R&D teams on the design control part, it's up to 50 to 60% time that is saved by the teams on their documentation time. So it's quite impressive. So we do have 2 products on the same platform. So the ALM, which is the application lifecycle management system for basically design control, and the e-QMS as well. What is very differentiating Matrix from other tools is that we come from the software development side, from engineering, not from the quality. So we have a very different approach to documentation, which is an item-based approach and not a document-based approach. So our goal is really to bridge the gap between the R&D teams and the RA/QA teams. And working with an item-based approach, it's like a database. It gives a lot of flexibility on the tool that you can configure exactly how you want. So there's no constraints. You can create your projects the way that suits your company and not the contrary. So that gives teams a real ownership of their medical device design by connecting to their essential tools that they're using, whether it's Jira, Azure DevOps, GitHub, GitLab. So they're really getting full confidence on their compliance capability and accelerate at the end. Basically, the goal is to accelerate their time to market for the product. So I will go and show you a little bit of Matrix. Here it's the LM part, knowing that both modules work the same way. There's some particularities on the QMS, I'll get back to that. But basically, every product can be a project. You can have as many as you want, whether the LM, QMS projects, and you can structure them the way you want to as well. So when you structure a project, what you define are the different item categories that you want to work with, whether they are requirements, specifications, risks, test cases, or test executions. And you build the traceability model based on relationships, whether they're downlinks, sublinks, they're mandatory, optional, and this will help to build trace tables automatically. When you go on an item, so every item is part of the database, has a unique ID, so it's very easy to trace them. You can see here that on the requirement page that it is connected to other items in the project, other items outside of the project. Here it's a Jira tasks. You can use labels to differentiate, to have approval workflows, to filter your information when you're going to be creating your documentation, because the documentation will be static. So it's at some point you decide, yeah, I want to create my SRS or any reports, and that's what you will do. Every time you change an item, you have the history. So it's very easy to see what has changed between one version and the other of your item. So that happens at the item level, but also at the document level. You can also see the impact of changes. If I change my requirement, I can see that all these other products, items that are connected can be actually impacted by with the database. I can actually even search directly in the database to see what items can be impacted by changes I've made. So before I give my documentation to an auditor, I can make sure that this is all covered. Of course, the items we're going to have, the requirements to your inputs, you can regroup them in groups. You have your validation test, with the expected issues, the expected results. You can run your tests. You can link that to Jira. You can, or Git or whatever. You can manage your risk, whether it's their FMEAs, UFMEAs, DFMEAs, hazards, and depending, you can define the different probability, the calculations, the tables, the fields. There's no limitation on what you can do with the system. It's really to cater to how your product is set. If you have different products, different kinds, then the different structures, you can also manage that. And then when you're done with the database here, you go to the documentation part. And here you select, easily templates that you can build yourself. The structure is very easy to build with different types of fields that will automatically create a put of the information in your document. So when you're set with your template, you want to run the document, you can have static information that you enter by hand, but also automated information. Here I can see that I'm going to fetch information in my database. If I run a preview of my document based on this template that I'm using, it's going to run and create a document, here a table of contents, some dashboard information that I can add, and also here you can see the table from your validation test, the executions, the results, whether they passed or failed, your bug management linked to Jira tasks, the details of all the test executions. So it's very easy to run any type of document, any type of table. You have also dashboards to help you with all the changes, to see what happens in your system. To have the traceability, reports to make sure that all your items are covered according to the traceability model we set up before. So you're not ending with non-conformities. We're just launching a beta product for AI. So we used an LLM here to generate potential risks based on your intended use. So then we can do the gap analysis of what you already have in your system and add them. So it's quite a nice tool here. And if I go on the QMS side, we do have a prepackaged SaMD temp projects for QMS, for LM, for software as a medical device. And here you will find all the different regulations that you have to comply with to certify an SaMD with the SOPs. And if you go to an SOP, you can see again, it's very structured. So the challenge here is like qualitatians are used to work with documents more than with design, like items. So if these are quality items with fields that you can change, that you can search, that you can report on, you can see, that this SOP is responding directly to all these standards that to comply with. You can have approval processes. And what is different in the QMS is a publication feature. So when an SOP is approved, it can be published in the live QMS, which is basically your online manual for your employees. So every employee has access to that, to his own quality manual, and get trained. And then as a manager, a QA manager, you can follow up on trainings. Of course, you can follow up on all your records, your post-market, whatever. So your feedbacks, your complaints, you can structure all this the way you want. You can have workflows, for example, here for the CAPAs, this is a CAPA that is closed. You can see that it's locked, and we can have, you can list the actions. You can have gate controls. So basically workflows within the item. Again, you can generate documents as you wish. For example, a signed document here for the approved list of suppliers. You can see that has been signed easily with my signature and the token for the document. So this was a very quick overview of the tool and its capabilities. What you have to remember that it's a very flexible tool that's going to be able to be configured the way you want it. You have the traceability that you want, all this centralized in one space.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Francois. We have a quick question before we jump to the next vendor. The question is, are these standard clause requirements loaded into the software by default, or do we need to add it ourselves?
So you have things that are there by default. We have a marketplace actually where you can also download and install project templates that will come with different sorts of documents that are already there. But the purpose, really Matrix is not pushing a lot of preset templates to you that never fit your exact need, but it's to allow you to build your own very easily and to duplicate them, change them, and create your own information. And I saw the question, we do hardware as well. Hardware only is maybe 20% of our customer base, a lot in implants, but a lot are activable implants as well. But Yeah, but yeah, we do hardware as well, of course. And hardware and software together, yes, we do have actually preset projects on the marketplace. Where we can go on the marketplace here, and you can see different project templates. And we do have hardware and software project, a simple V model, a software V model. So you can already start with that as well.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. For the rest of the questions we will ask in the panel discussion. And now we will have to move to open regulatory, and QMS is called formwork, if I'm not mistaken.
Certainly.
Thank you, Francois.
Laura, can you hear me, actually?
Yes.
Nice, awesome. And I'm also gonna share my screen. Let's see if that works. Maybe there's this horrible mirroring coming in, exactly. So as for a good consultant, I also, of course, prepared some slides. So hi guys, my name is Sebastian. I'm working at Open Regulatory. Laura, many greetings from Oliver. He's unfortunately on vacation at the moment in South Africa, so he sending me basically. Open Regulatory was founded 2020 by Oliver, and then he basically grew the team with Sven, Ale, Sarab, our two software developers, and me, the second consultant. We basically support startups with providing a lot of free stuff, a lot of free templates, QMS templates, technical documentation templates. We offer a lot of free articles on our website about different topics, MDR classification down to PMS. We have a free Slack community. You can find that on our website, basically at the bottom, with over 800 people. We offer, of course, also fixed price consulting, which is about 30 to 50% cheaper than our competitors and also a bit faster than others. And last but not least, we, of course, developed formwork, the actual centerpiece of this discussion today. We work with different startups. They passed audits with our consulting team as well as with formwork. Oliver created such a little comparison chart with us compared with our competitors this evening. I think the major difference is that Open Regulatory is like 100% owned by Oliver. It's a bootstrap company, profitable. We have a very competitive price model. At the moment, you have unlimited user accounts. You can create unlimited tech docs for your medical devices. And of course, you can export everything. In March this year, we will launch a new price tier called Formwork Starter, which is basically, instead of 499, it's 99 euros per month with a little hook, basically. It's limited to 5 users only. We want to support like the 3 or 5 dudes in the garage kind of startup setup. You have access to all features, and we support you in that phase where you run to your first submission with the notified body or with the FDA. So it's a quite cheap entry, and then you will be upgraded to the normal 49.9 price tier. And last but not least, of course, you can find us on Slack. It's quite vibrant community with a lot of questions and very nice, guys walking around there. When you navigate to our website, you can just hit the login button or the sign up button, depends on if you have an account already, and you will see something like this. So basically, formwork is divided into different subsets. We offer a regulatory training course called The Wizard. Yeah, that's Oliver. With over 70 videos guiding you from I have absolutely no fucking knowledge about medical devices till the point where you need to submit it, the technical documentation and your quality management system to the notified body. That's a little sneak peek. We also have a project management tool called Tasks, where we also give you like the step-by-step approach towards MDR certification for your devices. And the centerpiece basically is the quality management and the product section. In the quality management section, you can find all of our open regulatory templates, all the quality management system, and all the technical documentation templates that we also share for free on our website. Once you build your own QMS, you can find in the QMS overview, that's very, very small. You can find in the QMS overview, you can find all your released SOPs, all your records, all your documents, sorted by different, basically document titles. The type of document, is it an SOP or is it just a record? There are reminders when you need to check them again, when you need to update them, stuff like that. So that's really a nice overview. We also included a kappa module, which is basically for each kappa that you open, you will see a creation date, you will have a deadline that you can define for yourself, you can document the steps that you took, you can also upload accompanying documentation. What I really like is the training section, where you can define your own trainings for the members of your team. So you can create a new training and then even you can give it a title. You can describe what the purpose of the training is, of course. And you can also include little quizzes, a bit like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And then you can send it to your teammates. In the product section, for each of the products that you create, you will find these little tiles here, basically. And we also created a sample template, which is called the Magic Diagram Viewer. So once you create your first free homework account, you can see that this product template in order to get to know homework and the details. So basically, that's the first release, of course. You will see here on the left side in blue all the software requirements and the software documentation, and in yellow the risk management part, which is connected to your device, and the usability stuff. It's basically a waterfall approach, starting with you define your stakeholders, your user needs, so software requirements, and it connects them all together. Basically, when you take a look into the software requirements, you will see that software requirement 6, for example, display images, is linked to this user need. There's this software test that you define in software tests, and you just connect them, and it's very intuitive basically to use. The same is true for the risk management module, where you basically define your preliminary hazards, you go through your failure modes, and you create your risk matrix, right? This sexy green and red looking table. And in the end, everything is put together in the large risk table that everybody knows from the 4971. What I really like is the requirements and risk overview, where you basically have this connection between the software needs. Okay, the table is a bit too small. Where you have this whole overview of your requirements, which is very nice and easy then to trace. And in the risk overview, however, you will have the connection between your user needs, so the software requirements, documentation, as well as the risk management. That's basically then where everything is put together. Of course, when you take a look into the quality management, jumping back to quality management, you can see that we are also compliant with the FDA e-signature requirements. So let's, for example, take this SOP for kappa. You will see at the bottom of every document, every SOP, every record that you create, you will see this review and approval. For example, this document was created by my colleague Sven and approved by Oliver. You can give a description of changes, and on the top, basically when you hit these 3 dots here, you can also see the other 2 versions. So you basically have also this audit trail, so to say. Minor feature is the regulatory update. So you can subscribe basically to different regulations. We are constantly extending the list. We are also focusing in the future more on hardware stuff and FDA guidances. So you can just hit the notify button, and then you will get a notification once the MDR is again amended and the timelines are amended and extended. Exactly. I think that's it already from my side. How is the time actually? We can also
on
just
time.
run exactly on time.
Yeah, you're a bit early actually, but
Well, we can use it actually for more interactive part, if you like to.
I had a question. So basically, just really short. So you said basically that you get reminders relating to different things. When do you need to review them? Do you get these reminders as pop-ups in the product, or are they found in the table as static information that I need to check every now and then?
Yeah, you will find it in Formwork itself, basically. So when you have a user account, you will see on the top right corner, you will see your letter. In my case, it's an S. In your case, it would be an L, and there would be a red dot with a little bell. But you will also receive a notification via email.
Oh,
the
cool.
email account that is connected to your Formwork account.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think there were no other questions. Probably your product is pretty well known. I would say it's public. It's public.
Yeah,
And,
I guess so. I guess
yeah.
so. No.
All right, perfect. So, okay, that makes me move to another vendor. We have Qualio here.
Hi, Lara.
Hey. Hey.
I'll go ahead and share my screen.
Please go ahead. Yeah.
Lara, can you confirm if you are able to view this? Okay.
Yes,
We can see
perfect.
it.
Thank you so much.
And the slide show also, right?
Yeah, it's working.
Thank you. Thank you for confirming. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the session. My name is Sumata Kondapolu. I'm a Senior Quality Business Partner at Qualio. I'm here today along with my manager, Meg Sinclair, who is our Senior Manager for both quality and support. I'll go ahead with the next slide. So I'm one of the quality business partners here at Qualio, who is a leading provider of electronic quality management software for growing SaMD organizations. We are consistently voted the easiest e-QMS platform to use, and our software is designed to scale with SaMD companies as they grow to help them get the best-in-class quality and compliance processes in place. We are trusted globally by 700 companies. So if you need an e-QMS in 2025, we'd love to chat with you. Also want to give a special shout out to Lara, Ivo, and the team who let us bring you this session today. Thank you all of you. And with that being said, let's kick off. So tools like Qualio are ultimately about transforming how SaMD quality teams do their vital work. So we believe that SaMD companies that can connect their teams, go paperless, give themselves visibility of digital data, and minimize quality admin are the ones that can beat their competitors, so get to the market faster and grow more successfully. The challenges of old school SaMD quality management can now be fixed with the right e-QMS tool. So here you can see the various points that I have put together, how it was before and what is now today. Then moving on to the next slide. This is very key important, and I have tried to put all of the tabs that we are using, but feel free to reach out if you have further questions apart from the session that we are doing today. So Qualio really designed with ease of use in mind. So that's why we won our best usability and most implementable G2 awards last month. So the system is a single, my apologies. So the system is single integrated cloud-based system that knits together your critical quality processes. So here you can see the documents that can be digitized and organized, your entire stack. Similarly with the suppliers, like automated supplier evaluations, and in fact you can collaborate with the complete supply chain, and training, which is again you need to track all the training and competence. So that's where the training tab is. Apart from this, design controls is the key specific requirement. And being myself as an auditor, I always look for what kind of documentation need to go into the design controls. So this is where we make it more easy for our customers too. So streamlined SaMD development and risk management, followed by the quality events. So here, the specific requirements where you need to log in the corrective preventive actions, complaints, you can also customize. So the best part of it is Qualio runs with templates. So you can customize the document templates, event templates, and create your own specific requirements that need to be created. I'll go ahead with the next one and introduce Meg to bring us more on the connected collaboration for a quality culture. Over to you, Meg.
Thank you, Samantha. So it's not just about digitizing these processes. Qualio is designed to make collaboration natural and easy, and we believe that it's authentic. It's essential to how your business can establish an authentic quality culture. So whether it's collaborating on a document with inline commenting with our in-app editor, or building your own configurable workflows to route actions to the right personnel, Qualio is all about centralizing your quality culture and holding everyone accountable to your quality and compliance agenda. Next slide, Samantha, please. And ensuring compliance effortlessly is at the core of Qualio's design. So system guardrails are going to take the stress and uncertainty out of your regulatory requirements and ensure you're always conducting activities that are traceable and compliant. And if you're handling electronic records in a regulated GXP environment, your business is going to need to comply with FDA 21 CFR Part 11 in the US and/or EU Annex 11 in Europe. And Qualio makes that easy with fully trackable audit trails and e-signatures for actions like approving documents or completing training. At Qualio, we think Qualio should be an enabler and an accelerator of your business and your plans. Too often with manual quality system, it's an admin-heavy blocker that's going to slow businesses down. So automation is really critical in these processes and is a big part of how we have built the system. Our training plans, for instance, let our customers build bundles of training activities specific to those role types or departments, and then cascade that training at a touch of a button. So new hires can be added to training and sent training automatically when they're onboarding. That helps ensure employees are all properly trained, confident, and compliant. We've recently added AI functionality to Qualio as well, where you can have AI assist you in drafting documents, building training assessments, and generating document change summaries in seconds. We're building on this functionality to give our customers digital step-by-step frameworks for building out regulatory requirements and automatically collating that evidence within Qualio. All this to say, quality no longer needs to be a tedious, long-winded admin experience. These e-QMS tools can really prioritize automation like Qualio and free up huge chunks of your time and focus on value add and continuous improvement activities. We've even preloaded our quality system with content for our SaMD customers, and that includes templates for things like quality manuals, risk management files, CAPA processes that can all be added to Qualio in seconds. So that's boosting your quality maturity at a stroke by giving you that expert-built practice frameworks to populate yourself. And here is one of our customers. This is Effective in Switzerland, talking about our medical device content, cutting half a year out of their market prep time as they share Qualio access.
Meg, you want me to play this
Yes.
video? Okay.
Yeah, if it will.
We have an instance that we call plug and play, where we have a copy of all the SOPs, but in a way that is to be used for the consulting companies. I mean, for the companies setting up their own QMS. So there's slightly different versions of our processes. And that works very well because your team then just copy pastes all the information from that instance into the new customer instance. We have access to the customer instance, so we can finish the implementation, we can do the training of the customer, get them going, and then once they're on their own feet, they then remove our access, and then they only have access to the instance, and we lose that, we sort of lose the access to that. And that works very well as well, because it helps us to actually see what they're doing at the beginning and help them and guide them and create documents for them if they don't have time to do so, and so on. So, I mean, they save probably 6 months' time at least, because they can then just immediately read through the SOPs, change what needs to be changed, but then just approve them, and then they're actually ready and can get going with the tech doc. So I'd say at least 6 months of time saving for consulting customers.
Thanks, Samantha. That was a great
We
testimony.
have an instance.
So to round it off, Qualio is designed for SaMD companies, meaning our customers use it for compliance with all key SaMD and medical device standards and regulations. We're all about speed and efficiency here and helping our customers get to market quickly. And we'd love your business too. So you can give us a visit at qualio.com/demo if you're interested in speaking with us and learning more. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And I think we were right on time too.
I think so. Yeah, we have so many questions. All right. I'm not sure if we can adhere specifically to you, to Qualio, but there's a lot in the panel discussion. So maybe quite a lot for the panel discussion. So stay tuned and we will discuss it in later sessions. So thank you so much. And I guess next we will have to move to alternative setups. And for that, I guess we will start with Christian. So you can start basically about 10 minutes, then we will move to Lilian and then to Pascal. So they will let you know what did they do to go around to implement a quality management system without the use of an e-quality management system. So Christian, the floor is yours. I don't know if you're here.
Can you hear me?
Not so well.
Okay.
Now, yeah.
First thing, I will try to speak up. Is that okay for everybody?
Your audio is a little choppy, unfortunately.
I'm very sorry. I tried to improve while the others were talking, but I couldn't get my headphones connected.
Maybe we can then move to Lilian and then Pascal, and then we have you, Christian, at the end, and try to fix that up a little bit. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. So, Lilian, are you ready?
Yeah. Hey there. Can you hear me?
Yes. Perfect. Thank you. You can introduce yourself a little bit and then tell us what do you do. What did you do in your company? And yeah, you have around 10 minutes.
Perfect then. My name is Liliana Valencia. I work for Tensor Medical, a startup company from Spain. And basically, we are about to get certified for our first device, a software as a medical device, dedicated to multiple sclerosis in this case. And I'm the quality person, quality and regulatory person. We are a very small company, less than 10 people. So basically, what I'm about to show you is my daily life, because this is what I do every day of my life. So yeah, with that, I will share my screen. Let me see. Okay. So can you confirm that you can see the screen?
It's loading, but yeah, we can see it now.
Okay, while it's loading, I can explain to you. Basically, we have all our QMS, it's on GitHub. So we leverage all the power of GitHub to build not just the QMS, but actually the entire company is on GitHub because we are fully remote. So it's our core, is where we communicate, where we do everything. So for us, it was somehow natural to end up having a QMS here. For the quality part, let's say, we have a dedicated project. If you are familiar with GitHub, you can customize this, you can do many things, and it depends on your needs. But basically what we wanted to have here was a view with status of things, because actually this is a personal preference. I want to see what I have to do, what I'm working, what I need to tackle. So for me, this was the easiest way. So now I will start creating something at this point. Of course, our QMS, we already have all the documentation created because we have ISO 13485, we are certified. And we also have the clearance already of the TD for our product, about to go into the MDR certification part, the audits. So I can tell that our QMS still is working in the real world. And of course, it's working for us. So just to show you, because we have a lot of automations here, if I want to create an item, I just need to go here. Let's say I want to create a non-conformity demo. And we use because we have a coding style, so we use this XXX just to leave a placeholder for GitHub to place a number. So I'm just gonna do this quickly. So I hit create, and what is gonna happen here basically is that this is going to trigger an action, a GitHub action that is going to replace this number, this X, with a number, and that number is going to correlate with the issue. So we already have perfect traceability with things. As you can see, that happened here already. And also, when I'm ready to work, let's say, we usually sometimes just try to put here a description before to go into like working. And when we are ready to work, we just use another automation. So we are ready to work. And this means we are going to open a pull request where it's actually in GitHub terms. It's a place where you can create things, you can make changes. In our case, we treat documents as code, so we can just handle this from there. I think it's easier if I just go to one of the documents I already have created here. Let's go for actually, okay, we can go with the kappa actually. It's easier. And then what we're gonna have, well, as already told you, we have a draft here. We create PDFs automatically also. This is part of the automations we have. We create PDFs, and we have also here a view of the document. But of course, all documents, we work them as Markdown, but we use another format that is called Quarto. This is because it's a flavorsome Markdown format that allow us to do a lot of things. Like, for instance, this bit that is going to help us with the tracking of the versions. So we have versioning here. And we're gonna have actually automatically generated a template. We just fill in the gaps. So you are seeing the whole thing, but you can the gaps, you're gonna fill in the gaps. You don't need to copy paste the template. Of course, the question can be, well, this is difficult, this is tricky, but there is a solution for that, and it is, we work with, this works with Visual Studio, and Visual Studio allows you to have a kind of Word style view, and that's way easier for editing or to do anything that you're required to do. And ultimately, when we want to send for signature anything, because that's the whole point. So what we can do is assign a label, like here, for instance, you can see we have already assigned the sign please. Of course, before that, we have the approval. We just request approval like any other pull request in GitHub, that basically you just, sorry, I'm going to open this one. You just here assign a reviewer, and that person is going to approve. So we have the approve, and that will allow us to send the document for signature. And ultimately, that all part is going to be automatically done, and the document is going to end up in our website, because we have our own website for the QMS. So just, I can give you any example, but let's go again with the, where is it, reads, it's easier. So here we have a document. In the case of records, we have a PDF document already signed. This is fully compliant for any audit, for any auditor. And in the case of the procedures, we use the the website as it is, because we actually want to navigate the procedures. We want to be able to navigate them and check on them. So we have a website for this bit. For the last part, we also have, as you can see here, we use labels for the non-conformities, to track non-conformities and kappas, and we have additional views for that, so I know what I'm working, what I have open. That part is also quite easy. And in the last work we've been doing with our QMS, we have an automation for the training. This is an automation that happens every 3 months. Basically, it opens and assigns me, and it tells me all the last procedures that we have updated in the last 2 months. And I can just come here and I edit what I need and what I don't. And after that, when I'm ready, I just put this, I just use this command, I use this, generate training. And then when I generate the training, what I'm going to have here is the list of all the people in the company that requires that training. There is already a match inside our system that says this person needs to be trained on these procedures. So that's automatically done. And I can see who has done the training and who's missing. So that part is also covered. And importantly, for our product is a little bit more tricky, but it's the same principle. We use the same principle for documentations. We use a lot of YAMLs to make the traceability between requirements and end up with the whole traceability. That happens a lot in the background, so there is not much I can show you over there, but it's possible. And again, for our product, we also have a website just to make our life easier, where we can basically navigate, check on things. And this is quite useful, especially for all this. I have found it very, very useful because you need to check for things very quickly, and probably you won't remember where that term is. So you just browse and it's quite easy to answer. So yeah, basically this is what we have so far. Our next step, and this, the part that we really want to do, is we want to fit our entire QMS to an LLM. And with that, you will be able to ask questions like, we want to do this change, what I have to do, or actually, if anybody in the team has any question about how to do things, the LLM can tell this person how to do it, just to make our life easier. But apart from that, any ideas that we need, we just can implement it. It's quite easy to do.
Cool. I'm so impressed. Maybe you should have a meetup all to yourself to tell us about it. It's amazing. I'm amazed.
Well, I'm not the best person, sorry. I mean, this work, and I didn't say this work is being done by one of my colleagues, Roger. He's an amazing developer, so he has put all the brains to do this.
Great job. Yes, we have quite a few questions. I don't know if some of them were already answered, but let me get the question here that I have. One asked, how long did it take to build this, and did you have experience with GitHub before?
Well, quite honestly, we decided to move into GitHub in like 2 months, and at that point, Roger put something together. And let's say during the summer, 2 months, we had something up just to start creating documents. This again, because there are a lot of automations in GitHub. Of course, from Roger's side, he has a lot of experience on programming in GitHub. From my side, I'm a biomedical engineer, and I actually have experience with AI and programming. But we recently have experience with people with not so much knowledge, and there is not a big friction. If we know how to explain how to do things, and because we have so many automations in place, is not impossible.
All right. And I think one question was, what's your notified body? And I think you've already mentioned that is Intertech, I think?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right, perfect. I think those... Yes, Ivo.
Well, I had more a remark. For people who have been around this meetup longer, know that I'm a fan of putting everything under version control. And what Liliane showed at the end of having that website, what I really love about their setup is that they can generate this website for any branch where they're working on some documentation. So it's not that there's only one version. There are as many versions as there are branches for which you want to spin up all this automation, and you can, if necessary, view them side by side, compare them. And I mean, I know that some other systems have branching models, but I think this one does it because everything is in Git in a file format that is just well suited for this. It's just amazing.
Great, really nice. Thank you so much. I think now we can jump to Pascal if he's here.
I am here, yes.
Perfect. So introduce yourself a little bit and please go ahead. The mic is yours.
Yes, so let me see whether I can share my screen. In the meantime, in case I'm looking away from the screen from time to time, that's because my son is sick at home, lying in his bed, hopefully sleeping through that presentation, but checking on him from time to time. So let's start with that slideshow. Yes, also in biomedical engineering background at some point, co-founded a startup developing smartphone-based saving tests at a time when it wasn't really clear whether an app can be a medical device. Times have changed a little bit since then. And in 2019, started doing consulting or advising, or whatever you call it, on medical device regulatory, mostly software as a medical device, digital therapeutics, TICA in Germany, or AI. But so in doing this work, obviously worked with plenty of systems, also tried setting up a GitHub-based one, worked with Qualio, worked with Matrix, currently in a project. So I've seen a few things, but also initially wanting to decide on one standard approach that I can help set up clients. And actually that turned out to be a combination of Confluence and Jira. They're not always the same. I mean, there's always a bit of a different flavor, depending on what clients need, how big they are, what kind of type of product it is, and so on. But I just want to give an overview and kind of explain why it may not be the worst idea to use it. I mean, there are lots of thoughts that go in when deciding for a system, but Confluence and Jira can be used fairly well for that. At least clients have been going through plenty of certifications, either QMS or MDR, and also preparing for FDA or whatever. So that certainly works. So quick intro, what is Confluence for people who don't know it? And by the way, I decided for a presentation instead of a live demo, just because live demos never work. But I was actually thinking of doing a few short video snippets over the next weeks, where kind of showing, let's say, how to do a kappa, how to do a supplier evaluation, and something, just to give a bit of a better understanding how that works in practice, because that's just how it never comes across properly in a presentation. So Confluence, what is it? I mean, it's basically a wiki, not a particularly nice looking one, nor particularly modern, but it works. It's good for documents and more complex records, really. And then on the other hand, you have Jira, which is a ticket management tool often used for software development, but also other stuff. Basically ignore how you typically use it. Because let's say if you use it for software requirements or test management, you obviously don't use it the same way you use it for implementation tasks like stories or bugs and so on. So different workflows, different ways of working with it. It's heavily customizable. So the fields you can set however you want, different field types, different workflow behind, automations and so on. But coming to that later. Again, good for records, especially those where you have plenty of overtime, like non-conformities, kappas, supplier evaluations, and on. I mean, it's always the same structure. It's always not typically fairly short, or they can get longer, but it's ideally it makes more sense setting up that structure if you expect plenty of overtime. Otherwise, you can also do it in Confluence, and that's not big time saving doing it in Jira. Good integration with GitHub. For software development, if you use it for software devices. Not in the vendor section, because it's obviously not per se a QMS platform. We'll later on show it, but just imagine it like a no-code platform to set up an e-QMS. You have this Confluence where you have long page things, and then Jira where you have structured information. You can auto-create overviews from plenty of from Jira tickets in Confluence. You can link Confluence pages in Jira, and then export documents from Confluence to create exports for whatever stakeholder you're creating it for, like for a competent authority, for a notified body, for customers, whoever wants to see whatever they want to see. It's well established. It's a really flexible tool, and overall stability. That's what you look for in e-QMS. And recently also got reminded that it's well established. Makes a lot of sense, because it's a kind of bigger client. Like they have let's say the main company is fairly large. They have fairly established processes, and being in their system is basically what makes it possible to use a tool within weeks versus month or half a year or whatever. So since Atlassian was already on their pre-qualified list, we could use it. If anything else would have probably had to wait 3 months, 4 months, 5 months until it was approved. So that certainly helped get it again in there. But also otherwise, often clients, when they start talking to me, they already use Confluence and Jira for documentation, for just normal collaboration, for their software development, and then adding in the QMS part in the Confluence and setting up requirements in Jira is basically just an extension of the platform they already use. Everybody knows it. Maybe not everybody, but lots of people, and have experience using it. That helps. No code framework. You can easily put things together, and you're not really what I've realized is lots of other platforms are often very opinionated, tools that do certain things in a certain way. But if you wanted to cover with a slightly different workflow, you just adapt it. If you want another field, you add it on. So it's really flexible the way you use it. And also short announcement, probably setting up also a spin-off, or I don't know exactly how to call it yet, but where we do together with a fairly large client, co-development of some helper functions, probably some based on AI, not just usable in Confluence and Jira, but also some that can be used within. Then again, it's not for QMS per se, so you want a few plugins. Those are proven over time, but there are also quite a few others, not necessarily, obviously recommending them, but it doesn't mean that others are not good. There are plenty of good ones that can be used. You typically want one for document management. The built-in PDF exporter is crap, so you need something like Scroll PDF exporter. The normal Jira snapshots to import tool in Confluence isn't auditable. It changes over time, so you can't really approve it. That's why you want something like Jira snapshots, task management tool like X-Ray, and you don't want to just import or copy-paste pictures of flowcharts, but just create them directly in the documents. So let's keep on. Compliance check. That was one of the things we should point out too. Obviously ISO 13485, but also 27001 for information security management. MDR, IVDR didn't put it there, but it's obviously the same. Then FDA, clinical investigations, or whatever else you need. Because again, you can set it up however you want, so not too many restrictions here. Collaboration, that's what it's set up for originally, I guess. So that they're definitely given. Also when working on documents themselves, you can easily comment, you can tag people, they get a notification, they can respond on it. So definitely better than sending Word documents back and forth or whatever. Or when you have Jira for a certain workflow, you can either automate to assign it to certain people once it reaches a certain status, or you can assign it manually, depending on the process you have set up. Then automation. That's one of the great things, I think, of a general platform like Atlassian with Confluence and Jira, where, I don't know how many developers they have, but plenty, and then set up fairly powerful automation things where you can, in this particular example, it's set up so that basically whenever the supply evaluation is due or is overdue, let's say after a year, the ticket automatically gets removed into reassessment. A new sub-ticket for to document the reassessment is created. It's assigned to the person that's responsible for it, and you get an email notification. So that's not really a good or an easy way to miss that. And you don't have to wait just for the week before the audit, but you get it a year or whatever you have set up after you set it up initially, and then that way you have like one supplier to evaluate versus 20, and it's just something you can do if you have like a few minutes in between. If you need some more complex things, there's API access for everything. Really, you can export data, analyze it, play it back, whatever. You can create own plugins. That's when no code turns into more code, but I mean, you could if you wanted to. Then document control, that's an example with Komala, and there are others as well that may be even slightly better, but still exploring them. Normal thing with draft, review, approval, then distribution, kind of a bit of more build out QMS workflow, like also with electronic signatures for certain steps, like the approval typically. And yeah, that's basically there's a small icon that gets set up or integrated into each conference page. Then when you click on it, you get that part. I mean, here you see that it's currently in approval. You would put in email and token to like a authentication or authenticator app for electronic signature. Here it's obviously not set up yet, so we'd have to click on it and set up the signature part, but just to give an impression how that looks like. Yeah, additional features. Again, like whatever you like, you can set up a project for. Like, I mean, what I typically do in Jira is like supplier or software validation management, non-conformity and cover management, role management. You can also do literature review, kind of export the things from like the publications from PubMed and then upload them and like make each one a kind of a Jira ticket with various fields and a workflow behind it. And also add some AI automation if you like to export or extract information from the publication and add it to the ticket. So you just have to confirm it and don't do it manually, for example. Here an example for non-conformity kappa. I mean, it's probably maybe a little bit small, but again, like if that actually works out to publish some video snippets, like I'll show that in a bit more interactive way. Here on the left side, you see that workflow where I mean, a kappa would start kind of in status inbox, and then it would go into evaluation where you assess: is it actually reproducible? Is it what severity is it? If low, then you may not even want to make it a kappa. If yes, then you would continue with planning, with implementation, with verification, and then decide whether it's effective or not. And then on the right side, you see the different fields, like with the investigation, where you can put in the 5 whys or whatever method you use there, then what action plan you have, then documentation of what you have actually implemented, and then verification, like with the plan and result, assign it to various people. I mean, not going into too many details, but just to give an impression for how that can look like. And if you don't want to call it kappa implementation, but just implementation, I mean, you can change that. But I mean, I guess that's obvious by now. And that is it. Thank you very much.
I let Pascal run, but we unfortunately do not have time for any questions because we have to move on to Christian. But thank you, Pascal.
Thank you.
Improved. I've got an old headset. Can you hear me now, Lara?
No,
I think the problem is with your
bad.
internet connection.
I'm really sorry. I don't know what's wrong here. Is it better with just a speaker from laptop, or better with
No, they're both really bad. It's all right. I don't know. I guess we can. But as I remember, Christian, the methodology used was also similar to Pascal's. It was Confluence with Jira.
Yeah, yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
The spoiler is we use similar. My slides have a completely different view. It's really a management view, and maybe if I keep it short, I can try to show the slides, right? But my point is, we tried to invest more in spreading living QM in the hands of people than in the tools. Christian,
we cannot hear you.
That's really
unfortunately. Yeah.
I couldn't do more. So this thing either doesn't seem to work, I'm really sorry. It's
No worries.
I don't know what to do about it.
No worries, all good. So maybe for another meetup, but thank you for being here. It's all right. So I guess we will have to move to the next part of the meetup, and basically it's for user experience. If some of you, basically, we will give you a little bit of the mic. So for some of the users, you can basically share your experience if you ever use the e-quality management system, and let us know what's one feature you couldn't live without, or you can, for example, let us know for the alternative setups, what advantages have you seen over traditional systems and what disadvantages were there. So if you have any experience with anything, now is the time. You can just raise your hand, and we will have a queue. So the first one who raises the hand is the first one who can answer. Otherwise, we can go directly to the panel discussion. So we'll give, okay, so we already, I don't know if we have some hands. Nothing? Nobody would like to share their experience. Okay, Miguel, I guess.
If I can jump on here, so we work with multiple clients on implementing many of the tools that were presented here, and we always came across the biggest challenge, that is change management. So, but like Jira can do a lot of things with that. We are waiting like for 3 years for our clients to just implement, follow the steps we ask them to do. And I think a lot of the challenge with these tools is really the setup. Really depends on the organization, and it's interesting how we speak about software, and many of the companies they are still they don't like digital tools in their daily work, even if the developers are developing digital tools. And I just want to share a bit this feedback and learning on really how to make these tools be so dumb and easy for people to don't have an excuse to use it. I think is the biggest challenge, regardless of the tool.
Yeah, we also got here in the chat from Diana that she was using matrix requirements. At the beginning, it was hard for her, but especially without software background. But now she managed to use the software, and she's quite happy. Yeah, and if there's anybody here that uses Matrix, she would like to connect, so you can basically find her name in the chat and give her a LinkedIn connection, and you can speak about it. Anybody else who would like to share their experience? Otherwise, we have quite a lot of questions for the panel discussion. I think more than 20. We can jump to it. So I will give you like a few seconds. Exactly now, Liliana, please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, just from the perspective of a startup with tight budgets at something. I was a person looking for tools when we were starting the company. And one of the things that actually make us like decide on doing something on our own is that every time you check on these tools, they are like, this is the basic and this is the price. But if you want this, plus X, plus Y. And when you are starting, this is not feasible. You cannot, I'm talking about, of course, I'm talking about in Spain because it's what I know, but it's quite difficult if a tool is already taking you a big chunk of your monthly budget. So yeah, that's a huge motivation from our side. And we also like to think that we can hack the industry. I don't know how far we are, but just I think is a good thing to have in mind, especially for companies starting.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I clicked the wrong button now for some reason. Yeah, anything else from our users you would like to talk about? Some people are also mentioning their own software. Maybe we have you on another meetup, Jan, I guess. All right, so if nobody would raise a hand, I will basically move to the panel discussion. And in the panel discussion now we can wrap it up. We will bring everybody together and we can basically address some of the questions that you had. Quite a bit. So let's start. I basically organized them here in a little note. So for matrix requirements, one question was there about your pricing for small teams. Does this thing exist or not? So Francois, it's up to you to answer.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
So our pricing actually starts with for 3 read and write users. You can find the prices on the website as well. The prices on the website are for monthly subscriptions, whether it's for the team package, which is only the design control, or the company package, which is e-QMS. It starts at 110 euros per month for 3 read and write users. If you commit for a year, you get a 10% discount. And what we have right now, try and buy offer, so you can try it for free for 45 days with a full onboarding and help in setting up your projects, whether it's ALM and QMS, and decide at the end of the 45 days whether you want to continue or not. It gives you basically a month and a half of free license, and you don't have to pay for the onboarding unless you decide to subscribe.
All right, thank you so much. So this one at least was answered. Okay, so we have one question for all vendors. What is the split between teams purchasing your system for software as a medical device only projects and software as a medical device plus hardware projects together? I give the mic to some of you. You can answer the question, and yeah.
I can start with that one.
Yeah.
We're about 80% software as a med device, and that's only just because we just released like our beta for hardware. So we have clients using our hardware system now too. So, and all of our hardware clients are hardware and software together. We have a couple more that are about to join us just as a hardware only. So, and that'll be finished in public in a month. So if anyone's still interested in doing the beta with us, you get a discount on it. So let me know.
For Matrix, I would say that probably 80% of our clients include software in their products, but we have a lot of software in a medical device, SaMD clients. SaMD, I would say, would be maybe a third of our clients. We still have 20% who do only hardware. And IVD as well, we do IVD as well. So.
Yeah, I would say for open regulatory, it's 90% software as a medical device startups, and then 10% is hardware and software incorporated. Yeah. So I guess there's quite a focus on software as a medical device.
I can answer for Qualio. We have a mix of customers, both hardware and software as a medical device, as well as pharmaceutical companies, biotech, and CMO organizations as well, and CROs. So,
great. Thank you, everybody. There was another question, maybe each of you can answer. What are your most requested features that are not in your product yet?
Francois, you go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I had to ask my team about that. A lot of, I think, goes. I mean, there are always things missing, and people. And this is how actually our trade works. I mean, it's you bring improvements based on what your clients or users are asking you to do. Mostly for Matrix, I think it's more collaboration at the review level. So it's just to make it easier to comment and deal with document reviews.
Yeah, for us, Pascal asked about it earlier, but Jira Confluence is probably the most common, just from the software companies as well. Obviously, we've tried to keep the software somewhat agnostic for whatever tools people are using, so it's applicable for everybody. But that, and then collaboration tools is something that we're adding. And then the change management was huge, which is why we've started with this assistant essentially to help people do change management a little bit easier. So that's one that'll be ready to go probably this month for our users. But those are the big ones, I think, for us.
Nice. I think we have like 50 points on our backlog that we want to implement into Formwork. But I think the two biggest points is like this project management tool that we would like to incorporate into Formwork so that people can really also use it as a project management tool to coordinate the team and coordinate tasks. And my personal favorite project is the PMS module, basically, so that you can also do trending with Formwork, that you can automatically create a report, PMS report about your devices, and also do feedback management. So those are basically the two, flagships at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, at Qualio we have self-service integrations to self-role platforms like GitHub, Jira, Salesforce, and Intercom, Zendesk. So a common ask for our customers is just more of those integrations so they have connected ecosystems. So that's a common thing we're hearing from our customers.
All right. Thank you, everybody. One other question, I think more is very general. Do your solutions help manage the impact of changes across software and hardware teams working on one project? This is a problem they are currently facing, whoever raised the question.
Maybe the person has more background information because it sounds very vague.
Yeah, I also
like a lawyer statement, you know?
Yeah. So maybe for the person, you can either send another anonymous question with more details, because it's really not clear what exactly is asked here. Another question is, what are the future trends in this sector? As it seems that a lot of companies are having basically the same features and doing kind of similar things. Still, companies are also trying to find an alternative to their existing solutions. So basically what they need to know is, what are the trends in the sector of e-quality management system?
Well, if I can say, I mean, the trend is to, it's the general trend. It's to bring more AI agents and assistants to simplify some processes, but it has to be done the right way. So it's a dream, but it's not totally there yet, I guess.
Nothing to add.
Spencer can add on this, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, you can go ahead, Pascal, if you want to.
No, nothing to add, more AI, but yeah, how to do that properly. I mean, you still can't just submit something generated by AI, but like if you have, but it's great to make drafts, like either write something or distill information or extract information out of documents, and just, I mean, it's like translations. I mean, initially you had to do that all yourself, and then you used Google Translate or DeepL or whatever, and you just had to proofread. That's a lot easier than do the translation directly. I mean, and now same here. You get a draft done by AI and then proofread that, and ideally you just click, yep, approved, and then, I mean, would be a lot easier. So, yes.
Yeah, I think to your point, Francois, AI, everybody wants everything to be just easier, and you can point to AI to do that. I think a lot of it is making sure that we're making things more intuitive for people so that smaller teams can do more essentially with the software solutions that they have. And in order to do that, I feel like whatever kind of tools you implement need to understand your system, so it can't just be like a generalistic tool for saying, we can do this faster, or I can create a suggestion for whatever, So the way I see it in the future is that things become more kind of intuitive and straightforward to people. Whereas like in my previous jobs, if I was digging around for a template or trying to find if like references matched up between a couple documents, that's all just done naturally for you. So you can actually just keep your product teams moving faster and compliant. So there's that aspect of it. But I mean, I think also like being able to pull in like more holistic data, like having the marketing teams and claims and stuff be able to be connected to the like core regulatory processes and things like that. I think we'll eventually see things being a lot more interconnected. That doesn't always mean it's going to be easier for people once that starts, because once you add more layers, it just gets a little crazy. So, I mean, I think the end goal is really like, you know, you get guided through a process, and your team like has essentially like, you know, a thumbs up, thumbs down on like, are we doing the right thing? Like for this stage, moves you on to the next stage, and you get to move up like a lot quicker with your product dev and change and all that stuff.
All right, so we move to the next question. Let me pick it up. So many of them. All right. For the panel discussion, in your opinion, how long does it take for a small company with 2 products, hardware and software, to configure and implement your e-quality management system?
It's always the difficult question to answer, because it depends where you start from. If you already have some documentation, if you already have a QMS in place, or you're starting from scratch, depends on the resources you have on your team to devote to the projects. You know, if you have 1 person, or if you have 5, or if you have someone in QA, someone or not, if you're working with an external consultant or not. So if you have people already knowledgeable about the tool or not. So there are a lot of factors that come in play. So it's very difficult. If you start from scratch, I mean, in 2 days you can have your structure. You won't have the documents or the information in place, because you still have to create your SOPs and stuff like that. But it can go very fast. Our largest client, with over 240 users, they did it in 2 months, with 6,000 employees and thousands of documents. But it was in India, so they have a lot of resources to do it. But I would say reasonably, 2 to 4 weeks, if it's a small company, just 2 products to get started anyways, because the build up. So.
Yeah,
thank you.
To add on that, for us, we've noticed, because well, for like startup companies that are software based, they can typically move a little bit faster than hardware and software together. I don't think we'd be regulatory people if we didn't say it depends to answer every question, but obviously testing and clinical trials are going to slow you down the most there. We found that like small software startup companies can put everything together in about a month using what we have. So it depends on how many like FTEs you can dedicate. At least our system, the way we have the processes set up, people can move pretty quickly because it's all kind of intuitive in that way, but you still have to have someone who understands the QMS, who's reviewing the tech documentation, who has, is able to do the actual testing and that kind of thing. And if you have those resources with a small team, you can still move fairly quickly. But some of the things, like if you're going to do 60601 testing or package shelf life testing, all that kind of stuff, it just takes time. So that's no matter what going to take a few weeks to ship it out and do that kind of thing. But if all the pieces are there, you can move pretty quick.
Yeah, fully agree to Spencer actually. And Francois. So actually depends on if you're an established manufacturer already or if you're just a startup. The hardware versus software side. I would say, as with our setup, if you're an experienced guy working on a class 1, class 2A easy device, you could make it maybe in I don't know, 1 to 3 months. I don't know. I've seen startups. They're started super motivated, being super motivated, very motivated team. They said, yeah, we get it done in 6 months or 5, but they took 18 months now.
But it depends what you call getting done. What I'm saying is to be operational on the system. It's not to get your DHF done or your submission. It's just
fully understand the software. I think you just take, I don't know, a couple of days, because we provide so much background information with all the videos and so on. So the onboarding is quite easy and the software is very lean. I would say very dedicated, motivated person, maybe a week.
I mean, having used both Formwork and Matrix, for me, with Formwork, it's just like our way or the highway. It's
that's
designed.
true, yeah.
This is how you do it.
Yeah.
So I mean, what is the onboarding? You just start doing it. With Matrix, you have like this Swiss army knife that can do everything under the sun. But if it's not the flavor that you want, well, then you have to invest time setting it up, and that will take time.
Yeah.
But at least it's possible. So it's, pick your poison. Which, if Formworks fits your workflow, great. But if it doesn't, then it's probably not the best tool for you.
Absolutely.
I don't know enough about Qualio and Formally to have an idea, but I think that at least Formally, from the looks, is probably more in the Formwork camp, that this is how you do it, and Qualio is probably a bit more flexible, but then that just needs more work.
But we do have onboarding specialists who come from industry who help our customers onboard, and we get that done usually in around 2 months when we've got those motivated teams who are in the system and committed to standing up their QMS. So we've got a great onboarding team to help bring people in and do that quickly and get them going quickly in our system.
Yeah, we're using it right now. We are being onboarded, and it's exactly like the same amount of time that you mentioned.
But it's time well invested, because the time you save afterwards is has no value. So it's and basically you will save an enormous amount of time afterwards. And at the end of the day, of course, if the clinical is following, there are other issues that need to be done. But if that's all done, I mean, your time to market is sensibly accelerated. So it means more money for the company because they can sell earlier. The previous company I worked for, we missed an audit, our audit time frame. So basically, because the software developers didn't document anything, so the QMS was not auditable, we lost about a year and a half in go-to-market because we had to rebook a meeting with the auditor. It took us about 10 months already to have the first meeting. So you lose 1 year of marketability of your product. So it's a lot of money that you're losing. So if you're a startup, you run out of cash flow, and you're almost close to bankruptcy. So you really have to it's very important to take that into consideration, and it's worth spending a bit more money, a bit more of time at the beginning, and then you'll be just like on the highway, and you'll be flying.
Maybe I can also share a quick word about conference and Jira. So I guess with those two options, like either this way or the highway, and very configurable. I mean, it's obviously in the second category, but if you go with, like, let's say, established patterns and regular templates, then that can also go fairly quickly. Like in a current project, like they really got started in November, December, and submitted the technical documentation 1.5 weeks ago to a device to BSI with a stage 1 audit on Friday. So I'm fairly confident that will work out. But yeah, so it can go fairly quick as well to get everything together.
The thing of to have systems that are very directive and formatted, they can look very attractive, especially for startups at the beginning, because they say, "Oh, I have everything in place. I just have to fill in some things and just go, and then it's going to do it." But after a while, they find out that there's none of the templates exactly fit their needs, that they want to make some changes and they're impossible to be made. So they get very frustrated, and they just have to wait the end of their contract, because usually they're at least a 1-year contract, before switching to some other systems that are more flexible. So it's it's one way can be very attractive, but and I've been a startupper for 20 years, so I know what I mean. But So you have to be careful.
To piggyback on that too, we've had a bunch of people come to us who had Upwork consultants or somebody build their QMS for them, and then you go through it with them and they have no idea how it actually works. They're just like, I have a QMS now. And so we always try to walk them through, what makes sense for their company to essentially, do you need to log meeting minutes every single time you meet with your software dev team? Maybe not, that kind of thing. But if it's written into their SOPs, then they don't really know because they haven't read through it yet. So like that's the reason why, we built the system the way we did it. I'm sure Sebastian, same for you as well, which is essentially like a lightweight system for startups. And then, we always make it so you can do edits to any of the SOPs and adjust them however you want to. You can upload documents and things like that. So you're never really locked in, but at least you have a startup friendly kind of process in place. And then when you're actually, creating your technical documentation, it's based on that so that you're not really losing any speed that way. And then all your change and updates move to that. But it is a really important point because there's so many people that I've met that come like just kind of hobble together their QMS and their technical documentation. It's not really like communicating with itself, and they end up kind of getting in trouble down the road. So that's why it's so important to kind of start with something like this in the beginning, so that you don't run into issues like that down the road.
It's a nice segue to Jouke's question, whether these tools are making it too easy in a way that, figuring out what you need to do is a very valuable learning experience. So I mean, Formally has very great questionnaires of like basically take you by the hand, do all these things, and you're basically, if all the boxes are green, you're done. But do they know what they are doing? Well, yeah, let's hear it.
It's a good question. And so we spend a lot of time with all of our clients sending them essentially videos and overviews, and we have hint text in every single document that provides information on how to do it. In the end, you have to live your QMS regardless. So, the same way I was saying it before, people come to auditors with QMSs that they think they, just don't even have to look through anyways. So at least the way that we have it set up, we have all the information there. We have like essentially a help center that people can use and understand it a little bit better. But like the whole system's based on like the basic design control process. So you're always walking through it and it's like very visual. You understand the processes that way. But yeah, I mean, it's a good question. That's why it kind of scares me when people think that we're just kind of like using ChatGPT to create everything. It's much more complicated than that, obviously. So, but there is that fear for people. And yeah, I think that's why we try to make that kind of included in all of our document assistance, what you're doing, why you're doing it. And then we have essentially like our chat support for people, which pretty much all of our clients use, where we answer their questions. And then we do a training with them at the end just to make sure that they're up to speed on how everything works. But yeah, it's a legitimate concern with some of the other, solutions that might be coming out down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was also thinking about. Like when, specifically during the onboarding process, if everything is made very clear, I think that would definitely help both the parties in doing the partnership and establishing the QMS system. Even though like if someone is bringing their own documents into the e-QMS or they are creating new, so that's how they can identify depending upon the targeted market and where they are actually aiming for to launch their product. That all depends on what kind of requirements are needed, and based on that, I think they can develop and implement. So definitely it would help initially if they can identify and try to, make that path to move forward with the next steps.
Any thoughts from you, Sebastian or Francois?
I see nothing to add. Spencer already did a very good pitch on restructured QMS systems.
It's like every productivity tool. You have a calculator. It's not because you have a calculator that you shouldn't know how to count. So
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
We're just here to improve efficiencies, but not to replace or just.
I think sorry for interrupting. I think it strongly also depends on the size and the experience of the company. I think Spencer and our company are focusing on small startups that have no fucking clue about medical device regulation. And if you're an established manufacturer like Medtronic, Philips, Siemens or so, they will probably not knock on Spencer's door or on my door. They will probably go to Matrix. So I think that's the main difference also here.
Miguel, you have a comment?
I just wanted to add, because at CompIR we are taking even further on this challenge that we are working at universities how to implement something that we are forbidden to call a QMS, because you cannot have a QMS for students. And I think, so to Jock's point, is how can we really bring regulatory and quality knowledge to the point where people are doing the work more than just documenting things in the end? Because I believe that you really do the work, the engineering work, the AI will fill out paperwork for you quite easily, but you need to do the correct work. And that's, I think, is the biggest challenge. And I see a lot of crappy technical documentation to be submitted to notified bodies being approved. I think it will be interesting to see how we can improve quality really down the road. And we are taking the challenge on how can we really implement these tools with students. So you don't even pay them, so you cannot even force them to do the work as employees. You just need to really get their attention somehow and teach them. At the moment, they really are relevant there, but that's the point on I think the quality culture is a challenge with these digital tools. How to reach those is a challenge.
And as a final comment, Liliana?
Well, yeah, about what Miguel was saying. Well, we are not anymore in university, but we were actually born in university. So we have a lot of people, PhD students. So the reason actually why we are thinking of having our QMS on an LLM is because we know our employees, they want to focus their time on developing new tools, on developing new features. And when you say you have to do this thing of the QMS, they are not like, I don't want to do it. It's like, this is really out of my comfort zone. But we think, at least, and we have talked with them and discussed it quite a lot, if you have a tool that you can ask what I have to do, and you get the answer, this is what you have to do, and you have somehow a easier path, probably you will get there. And if you say somebody, instead of saying, hey, go and read that SOP about doing this, just ask the question and you get the answer and start from there, is way easier.
All right. So thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for all the speakers. Thank you for all the questions. We apologize for the questions we could not answer. I think we had more than enough questions, but at least the first ones that popped up, we were able to answer. And with that, I would like to share with you the link to our new LinkedIn group, so you can follow us. And I also shared the feedback form with you. So in the comments, you will see a link to our LinkedIn group. So please follow us, and for the feedback, please give us feedback so we can be better and do better for the next one. And also maybe you can give us a hint on what to speak about in the next meetup. Have a very lovely evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time, I hope. Thank you, everybody.